Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. When encountering an alien term, Zhou's expression remained unchanged. It was so that he would not expose his thoughts. With some brainwork, it was clear that Beichen now viewed him as an elite that far surpassed himself. The birth chart must be some kind of power of the 10-leaf stage, just like the karmic fire of the 9-leaf stage. Zhou neither nodded nor shook his head. When Beichen saw Zhou remaining silent, he said quietly, "To think that I'm able to meet someone with an initiated birth chart while I'm still alive. 2,000 years have passed, and nobody has ever succeeded." Zhou was puzzled. Beichen continued to say, "The 9th temple has been feared by others for many years. The palace and the Sky Martial Court have tried on several occasions to crush the 9th temple. If it weren't for you, old Mr. Chen Beizheng would have found another reason." The reason Chen Beizheng had used this time was the Golden Lotus. The 9th temple could still challenge the palace and the Sky Martial Court, but they were far from being capable of standing against the entire world. The Golden Lotus was undeniably the best excuse to crush the 9th temple. Zhou said calmly, "With your cultivation base, I don't think you'd have any problem defeating Chen Beizheng. Why didn't you do anything?" "There are two reasons. My age doesn't allow me to battle for too long. Chen Beizheng isn't even 1,000 years old. He's young and energetic. Next, this is the 9th temple. If we truly fight without restraints, my disciples will surely be caught in the crossfire." "I see that you've thought of everything." Zhou dared not underestimate this person. Surely, Beichen was not the average person since he was the temple master of the 9th temple. If he did not have the 1,000 years of memories from Ji Tiandao, he was certain he would have problems navigating this situation. For a very long time, it had always been others who were afraid of Beichen. Finally, there was one person who did not lose to him in terms of bearing and strength. "Old Mister, how should I address you?" He was clearly already trying to get Zhou to be their ally. Zhou looked up and considered it for a moment. He stroked his beard and replied, "My surname is Liu. Yu Shangrong, Little Yuan, and Conk were not stupid. They immediately understood their master's intention. They were in foreign lands, and he was using an alias. As expected of master, he has thought of everything." Beichen racked his brain, searching for a 10-leaf cultivator with the surname Liu. Alas, he found nothing. However, he did not think it was strange. It was only natural that there were elites who kept a low profile. He had lived for many years and was not a frog in a well. "Brother Liu, you showed us a 9-leaf red lotus. Did you intentionally hide your realm?" After asking this question, he felt that he was asking the obvious. This man was capable of killing Chen Beizheng with a single strike. It was only natural that he had hidden his 10th leaf. Zhou did not answer the question. Was the answer not obvious? "Are you satisfied after asking me so many questions?" Beichen was slightly taken aback. He suddenly realized that he was being rude. It was impolite to bombard another person, especially a guest, with so many questions. "Forgive me, Brother Liu. I'm sorry." Perhaps, Zhou had been living in seclusion for too long. He did not feel awkward when someone who was clearly much older than him addressed him as such. "If he has no problem calling me that, I'll accept it. There's nothing wrong with this. The people said that you, Beichen, are a rare and talented cultivator, a 10-leaf elite. 1,000 years ago, you fought against a 300,000 strong foreign tribesman army. You're renowned all over the world. Since you asked me so many questions, you should show me your avatar as well." "Let me see it," Zhou said. Beichen understood Zhou's meaning. Since they were supposed to work together, it was only natural for them to be on equal ground. A faint smile appeared on his face instantly. He nodded and said, "Those are just praises by the masses. They're merely exaggerating. If you want to see my avatar, Brother Liu, that can be arranged." The others looked at Beichen. Who would have the opportunity to look at it during ordinary times? Who would dare to make that request? He was about to manifest his avatar when Zhu Xian brought Zhenghai into the hall. Temple Master, I've brought him here. After Zhu Xian finished speaking, he kneeled on the ground. Zhenghai was in a daze during the journey here. He merely saw Zhu Xian coming to him with an anxious expression as he brought him here. He entered the hall and looked up. If that was not his master whom he feared and respected the most, who else could it be? He immediately shivered as his eyes widened. He hurried over before he kneeled and kowtowed. Greetings, Master. The master and disciples were finally reunited, and it felt as though the world had turned upside down. If they were still in Great Yen, they would not have been filled with so many emotions. When he descended into the abyss, he was already prepared to die. When he saw the 200-foot avatar, he thought he would not be able to meet his master again or return to the evil sky pavilion. He did not expect his master was here as well. Zhou looked at Zhenghai. As always, he said calmly, as long as you're alive. Get up. Eldest senior brother, little Yuan and Kong greeted Zhenghai. Zhenghai stood up and said excitedly, hello, little junior sisters. Sikong Baichen, who was interrupted just as he was about to manifest his avatar, said, so, Zhu Xian has truly treated your disciple well, Brother Lu. Zhenghai was stunned. Brother Lu? Why is this old man so polite? Why would someone like Zhu Xian bow and bend his knees? Sikong Baichen said, well? Aren't you going to apologize to Brother Lu? Zhu Xian crawled all the way over from the door and stopped in front of Zhou before he kowtowed. Sikong Baichen nodded. He looked at Zhou and said, Brother Lu, Zhu Xian is still young. He doesn't know how to show restraint. Can you spare him on my account? Senior, Zhu Xian knows that he's wrong. Please spare me. Zhu Xian shook. Zhenghai was shocked by this. Zhou looked at Zhu Xian and said, on account of Sikong Baichen, I'll spare your life. However, I'll keep your square box as a punishment. Will you accept this? Zhu Xian. His mind went blank. The square box was an object he valued as much as his life. It had kept his company and helped him defeat numerous opponents. He successfully reached the 9-leaf stage because of the square box. In the future, he might become one of the respected first seats of the 9th temple. His future and potential would be unlimited. This was also the reason Sikong Baichen was trying so hard to preserve his life. How was he going to go on without his square box? Although square box is a desolate grade treasure with a shocking defense, it doesn't have any offensive power. If you like it, Brother Lu, you can have it, Sikong Baichen said. Inwardly, he was puzzled. Why does Brother Lu need a useless weapon such as the square box with his cultivation base? Perhaps, he really intends to use it to punish Zhu Xian. Zhu Xian. Zhou kept a straight face as he thought to himself, I don't like an item that can only take hits. Sikong Baichen added, aren't you going to thank Brother Lu? Thank you, Senior. Thank you, Brother Lu. Thank you, Senior. Me and my useless tongue. Zhu Xian slapped himself. He was extremely frightened and nervous that he could not even talk properly. The others were stunned. You're dismissed, Sikong Baichen snapped. Yes, yes, yes. Zhu Xian retreated respectfully. He no longer had the air of a 9-leaf elite. This image was a shock to Zhenghai as well. Throughout the time he spent in the 9th temple, Zhu Xian had always acted like a lofty figure. His eyes were always looking up. At this moment, Zhu Xian's image was completely destroyed. Whether it was in Great Yen or the Red Lotus domain, they were but humans with flesh and bone. Nobody could overcome the weakness of humanity. Zhenghai was shocked. He remembered the shocking scene he saw earlier and hastily said, Master. I saw a 200-foot palm seal earlier. That was... Eldest senior brother, who else in the world would have such power apart from Master? Little Yuan said with a giggle. As expected, it was Master. Sikong Baichen nodded and said, Brother Lu has mastered the birth chart. It's not shocking for him to have such power. Zhenghai asked, puzzled, what's a birth chart? Zhou had been troubled about this, but he could not bring himself to ask about it. His disciple's question helped him solve the problem. His trip here was not a waste. Humans were curious creatures, Zhou was not an exception to this. When he heard Sikong Baichen mentioning the birth chart earlier, he had been wondering what it was. Initially, he planned to ask Xiaochengqiu after they left this place. However, Zhenghai had voiced his thoughts out for him. Will you refuse to answer my disciple, Sikong Baichen? Naturally, Sikong Baichen would not refuse such a trivial question. In fact, he was rather invigorated. He now had the chance to draw attention to himself and talk about the birth chart in the presence of a birth chart elite. He was more than happy to answer Zhenghai's question. Since humans began to cultivate, they've gone against the will of heavens. We've overcome hardships, obtained powers, and prolonged our lives. It's part of the cycle to be born, fall sick, and eventually, die. However, powerful cultivators are able to keep illnesses at bay and slow the aging process. Therefore, the path of cultivation is also known as the path of longevity, Sikong Baichen said. Then, he paused for a moment and cupped his fists together at Zhou as he said, kindly correct me if I make any mistakes. Zhou nodded before he raised his hand and motioned for Sikong Baichen to continue. Sikong Baichen continued to speak. From the body tempering realm to the divine court realm, a cultivator could gain 500 years of life. In the nascent divinity realm, each leaf would grant the cultivator 100 years of life. From the 8-leaf to the 9-leaf stage, the cultivator would gain 200 years. All the realms before the nascent divinity realm were similar to the Golden Lotus domain. In the Golden Lotus domain, after the nascent divinity realm, every leaf would grant a cultivator 50 years of life. When the 9th leaf sprouted, those with a Golden Lotus would be granted 50 years for every leaf. Hence, every leaf would give those in the Golden Lotus domain 100 years as well. From the 9-leaf to the 10-leaf stage, the cultivator would gain 500 years. Zhenghai was puzzled. He asked, why did Zhu Xian say that cultivators could live up to 3,000 years? After careful calculations, he found 10-leaf cultivators would only gain 2,000 years of life, not 3,000 years. Sikong Baichen looked at Zhenghai and said, perhaps, the taboo set by the gods is unique. The remaining 1,000 years of life can be gained from life hearts. Therefore, 3,000 years is the limit of a cultivator's life. What does this have to do with the birth chart? Young man, have you ever thought about why the limit is 3,000 years? After all, cultivating is already going against the heavens' will since it prolongs our lives? Zhenghai shook his head. Sikong Baichen said, by initiating the birth chart, one could overcome the limits of life. 2 millennia ago, there was a predecessor who successfully activated his birth chart. However, he went missing after that. Ever since then, no one has managed to activate their birth charts. He paused for a beat before adding, birth chart is the foundation for forming the 1,000 realms whirling. Apart from Zhou, those who were unaware nodded when they heard this. If you think I missed anything, please feel free to add in, Brother Louis. Zhou's expression remained unchanged, he did not answer the question. Who knows if this 1,000-year-old fox lay a trap for me in his words? I won't make any mistake as long as I keep my mouth shut. Zhenghai said, it's no wonder there are no 1,000 realms whirling here. Sikong Baichen asked curiously, why did you recruit 2 Golden Lotus cultivators as your disciples, Brother Lu? He did not suspect Zhou's identity as well. After all, he had seen Zhou's Red Lotus avatar with his own eyes. Regardless of all the evidence that was presented to him by the others, his judgment would not be swayed. Most grand cultivators, especially one like Sikong Baichen, were like dictators. Zhou replied, these 2 have been with me since they were young. They're incredibly talented, so I accepted them as my disciples. Initially, I cultivated the Buddhist Zen. There's a Buddhist saying that all life is equal and should be treated as such. There's no difference between golden lotuses and red lotuses. Not only do I have golden lotus cultivators as disciples, but I have a red lotus cultivator as a disciple as well. He paused for a moment and beckoned Conk over. Conk, come here. Conk skipped over. From the beginning until now, Sikong Baichen did not pay any attention to Lu Zhou's disciples at all. For him, Lu Zhou's attitude was the most important. When Conk appeared in front of him, his eyes lit up. He saw her dark shining eyes that were as clear as water. They complemented her delicate features. Most importantly, there was fluidity in her aura that was similar to water. He could tell she was a rare genius cultivator. Manifest your avatar, Lu Zhou said. Oh. Conk felt slightly awkward. Nevertheless, she obediently circulated her primal chi before manifesting her avatar. Soon enough, a two-leaf 100 Tribulations Insight avatar appeared in front of everyone's eyes. At this moment, the 5 first seats had just entered the hall after completing their tasks. They were about to say their greetings when they saw Conk's avatar. In the spacious and silent holy palace, that avatar's buzzing noise was not grating to the ears. Instead, it sounded rather pleasant. It was just like when Conk played the Lantian jade flute. Just like her smiles and frowns, they were all pleasant. She was destined to be gifted in the tune. Sikong Baichen looked at the avatar and said in shock, she's still young, but she's already a two-leaf cultivator. She's bound to be a great cultivator in the future. However, Conk disagreed with his words and replied, compared to 9th senior sister, I'm nothing. 9th senior sister is almost at the 8-leaf stage. The others quickly shifted their gaze from Conk toward the other little girl, little Yuan. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and said, these 4 are my disciples. Yu Zhenghai, Yu Shangrong, little Yuan, and Conk. Zhu Xian had always been curious about the kind of person who was the master of the 2 elites, Yu Zhenghai and Yu Shangrong. After meeting the old man in front of him, the answer was clear. Lu Zhou added, you said that the people of the world can't from their 1,000 realms whirling. Have you tried? Sikong Baichen nodded and said, I've tried it countless times, but I've never succeeded. If I can see 1,000 realms whirling while I'm still alive, I won't have any regrets even if I die. The first seats fell on one knee upon hearing these words and said in unison, Temple Master, you will live as long as the heavens. Nobody in this world can live forever. Nobody knows where the path of longevity ends, Sikong Baichen said. Lu Zhou was reminded of Jiang Wenxu's words, nobody can live forever. After Sikong Baichen finished speaking, he cupped his fists together at Lu Zhou again before he flipped his palm up. A miniature appeared above his palm in just an instant. Kindly give me your opinion. Their avatars were similar. Apart from the other tribes, the cultivators in Great Yen and Great Tang had humanoid avatars. The 5 first seats looked at their temple master. They had never seen their temple master manifest his avatar for no good reason. Such a powerful person like their temple master was behaving like a student in front of the old man, waiting to be taught or corrected. However, when they recalled the shocking palm strike they had seen earlier, they felt it was not too shocking. Everyone had skills they were good at. Those who were stronger were naturally superior. They had already verified Lu Zhou's profound cultivation base. There was no need for the weak to speak at this point. This was Lu Zhou's first time seeing a 10-leaf avatar up close. A red lotus bloomed under the red avatar's feet. 10 leaves could clearly be seen as they spun around the red lotus. The center of the lotus was as bright as blood while the outer layers were slightly more faded like red skies. Then 10 blade-like lotus leaves that were as slender as swords were a sight to behold. The holy palace remained silent. Everyone watched respectfully as the 2 great cultivators discussed the path of cultivation. Those with working brains would not speak up for no good reason at this moment. Moreover, who knew if they would be enlightened from the conversation? After a while, Yu Zhenghai broke the silence first. He looked at the red lotus and asked, can cultivators live longer than 3,000 years after activating their birth charts? Sikong Baichen nodded and said, it's said that just by activating one birth chart will give the cultivator 500 years of life. There are more than 1 birth charts? Yu Zhenghai was stunned by this revelation. You'll have to ask your master about this. I've cultivated for many years, but I haven't understood birth charts yet. I dare not display my meager knowledge in your master's presence, Sikong Beichen solemnly said. He was more than happy to answer Yu Zhenghai's question earlier because he had hoped the answer would lead to this point. He hoped to gain some insight about birth charts from Lu Zhou. Up until now, Lu Zhou had remained tight-lipped about birth charts. However, he was not surprised. After all, birth charts were important, it was not something that could be casually taught to others. Yu Zhenghai turned to look at his master and asked, "Master, how many birth charts are there?" First, let's give a general and vague answer using fine words. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and looked at Yu Zhenghai as he said, "Every cultivator has different talents. There are those who couldn't activate their birth charts even if they tried their entire lives, and then, there are also those who successfully activated their birth charts without meaning to. It's the same as sprouting leaves. Some tried their best but could only reach the 3-leaf or 5-leaf stage. Some could easily reach the 9-leaf stage." After he finished answering the question, he turned to look at Sikong Beichen and asked, "Do you know why no one has managed to activate their birth charts over the last 2,000 years?"